So, hey guys, glad you guys decided to join me today.
What's good?
It's us guys.
It's those guys.
I was looking online right now, and I was looking about some comments that Square Enix made about Final Fantasy 15 and how they need to sell 10 million copies. And I was just thinking about the rising cost of AAA, you know, and how little they're returning. And it's primarily for Final Fantasy 15 right now, 10 million copies. For any company to expect that return, that's not Activision or Bungie with Halo or Call of Duty.
Right.
You're expecting $650 million from this one game that's been in development hell for nearly 8 years. What are your opinions on AAA right now? Or like, is the cost getting a little too high?
I was gonna say, wait. So Final Fantasy, you can't get that on PC, right?
Not yet. Not
So
initially. It's going to be just PS4,
PS4
and I think Xbox One.
Because when I think of that, I think of like Mass Effect, right? And Mass Effect, it like at least the third one must have cost like hella bread to make, right? But they had the addition of putting it on PC as well. So I felt like that kind of.
Mind you, if we look at historically the most expensive media property in like existence for video games, that would go to GTA 5 with $285 million. That's how much an Avengers movie costs.
Yeah.
Like that's $285 million to spend on everybody who worked on it and stuff like that. But mind you, GTA 5 made back $2 billion in like 4 seconds.
I mean, there must have been people there who knew that a game like that would reach that sort of potential, so they felt like, hey, we could actually make this budget. Whereas, certain AAA developers, they just either can't get the cost right, or they think that the game is going to sell more than it actually does. If you look at a game like Street Fighter V, for example, they expected that game to sell 2 million. Right now, it hasn't even hit 800K in total. And we're talking about on PC, digital sales, and
Isn't it
physical
usual for like Street Fighter to make 2 million, then it breaks down over the...
Well, they expected 2 million for Street Fighter X Tekken, remember that? And they failed to make that initially. So, it's one of those things where if you have like a high budget for a game, you better make sure you deliver on all fronts, because even delivering on those fronts isn't going to guarantee you that you're going to make that money back.
True. Yeah. I mean, if you look at Square Enix, they spend a lot of bread on these multi-million-dollar ad campaigns, so that it reaches beyond just Japan and it makes it over here to America and Europe, where they sell pretty well. And if you really think about it, contrasting these big developers, Square Enix, Activision, THQ is now in the dust, but
they've been buried.
We look at the PC scene right now, and we're seeing the rapid change from console-only gamers, because PC was dead for a while, and now we have a large PC presence. You look at League right now, you look at Dota, you look at these huge esports empires that are rising, and they're making hella bread off of this.
Free-to-play games, League of Legends.
I just find that crazy, because Ubisoft was trying to do this kind of stuff with Assassin's Creed, but they haven't really been so successful over the last iterations.
Yeah.
They're not really making any waves. I mean, Black Flag was pretty good. I didn't really like 3 that much, but
they have to take a break. They're taking a break
right now, to reinvent their whole series, and it's just what do you think needs to be done? Do you think these companies have to start like getting smaller? I mean, thinking smaller?
Well,
because it's not healthy for a company to think small, right?
Well, if you think small, then you have low expectations. So that must mean that you're not expecting your game to sell a decent amount, so maybe not that much effort goes into it to begin with, because you're not expecting anything in return. But it's kind of difficult to discuss. None of us are in this industry where we know, when it comes to the bottom line, what to do to be successful. As you mentioned before, we do have the free-to-play model with the League of Legends. You got your Dota 2, and even games that aren't free-to-play, like Counter-Strike. CSGO is one of the most, if not the most, watched esports game that's a shooter, right? It definitely tops Call of Duty when it comes to that, no doubt about it. But when you look at that game, it's cheap, it's $15. Anybody can get it. It caters to a more casual crowd as well. So if you look at a game like, let's say, Assassin's Creed, for example, right? People get sick of it, right?
Yeah.
If you have a girl and you go on a few dates with her, right?
Yeah.
And shit gets boring, you're gonna leave her, she's gonna leave you, right?
Yeah.
One of the two is gonna happen, right? So customers are leaving Assassin's Creed right now.
Yeah.
Even customers started leaving Call of Duty. Advanced Warfare was the big one that people just said, we're kind of done with this shit. So,
I mean, they have to experiment. They have to try. I mean, we're seeing. I mean, they have too much to lose, and we've obviously seen that you're never too big enough to fail.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, we're seeing a lot more experimentation on the low end. Like, if we look at Rocket League, which has a meager development budget when you compare it to these AAA games, but it's breaking in AAA
and
money.
the small team too.
Small.
As you were saying, should these companies think small? That was an extremely small team that made that. I'm not sure what the number is.
DLC is like $2. You can get it for like $2, so it's not like they're breaking the bank with the DLC.
True. I mean, also if you think about it, but I mean, like conversely, if we think lower than Rocket League, the indie scene, let's look at King and Candy Crush and like these kind of free to play models on the iOS store. They're making a lot of money. I'm not gonna say that they're making a lot of money, but people are more wise now to the microtransaction game than they have been when these games were first coming out, and they're not returning as well. So, is there a sweet spot? What do you think, Eric?
Is there a sweet spot with people not, with the lower end not getting the same return?
Yeah, like they're not getting the same return as they like to be. Small teams who are doing the indie thing for a little higher are making a killing, and the AAA guys are having to affect their strategies.
Yeah, well, there's always going to be a sweet spot. I just think, like, at least like for me, Candy Crush, what kind of DLC, what are you paying for? Like, really, like, that, I don't see that how that's going to make you that much money besides the initial, like, you don't even pay to buy it, right?
No, it's free to play.
It's just free to play. Yeah, I don't know. I guess some games are able to have like downloadable content where it's very much where you want to pay for extra. But some games just don't have like that kind of they don't have like that.
You know what's crazy that comes to mind right now? I can't believe it just came to my mind. Valve actually tried to experiment back in 2006, if you think about it, with how they were going to start making returns. Half-Life 2, Episode 1, and Episode 2. Like, episodic games were the initial factor for how they could start recouping money on very large AAA budgets. And if you look at the new news about Final Fantasy VII, how it's going to be an episodic game, and how every single episode is going to be as big as the original Final Fantasy VII, I call bullshit, but that's not possible. And you have like Telltale series that are now doing these episodic choose your own adventure games, and they got you coming back. They
have The Walking Dead, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What's that?
Because it's just press what are those games called?
Choose your own adventure.
No.
Are they QTEs?
QuickTime? QuickTime events.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Just QuickTime events.
Our attention spans are not the greatest, right? I think everybody knows that. However, it's just like with any TV series and stuff like that. You know, Seinfeld knew when to stop his show, right? And he stopped at number 1. Same with games. If you keep doing these episodes, people are going to get sick of it. Sales are going to go down, down, down.
Yeah.
So it's working for Life is Strange, or it worked for Life is Strange, worked for Walking Dead, but for how long?
Resident Evil just did that. Revelations.
Exactly. Revelations did that as well. So, how long will that last? Businesses change over time. Nobody, the days where people look at a developer and they get excited because, hey, this developer is making a new game, those days are gone when it comes to the casual fans. Only the super hardcore fans give a shit, right?
Yeah.
Nobody who's on their phone is gonna look and say, oh boy, this is the Candy Crush developer. I can't wait to download this. No.
E3 is no longer for anybody but the hardcores and the media.
At least,
look at Ubisoft. They have like Usher and Flow Rider doing performances on their shows.
You gotta keep changing the game.
Yeah.
You should Tyler over there for Ubisoft.
Yeah, right? They're catering to the casual crowd.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, how is Sony throwing out all this guap? They threw out money for Street Fighter V, a AAA development that hasn't made an investment on return. They got Shenmue 8 coming out. They needed to get kickstarted. We got Final Fantasy VII, which apparently is the trigger. Like, that's literally the final option. That's like the nuke that you throw in when you realize you are going to lose the war.
Yep.
It's no secret that with Sony, when it comes to the laptops and the TVs and the Walkmans, which I don't know why the hell they're still doing that, but yeah, Sony itself is doing terrible. However, as the PlayStation brand, it's doing extremely well. So they have this money to go out and say, hey, we're gonna fund Street Fighter, you know? Hey, we're gonna help kickstart Shenmue. You know, so the PlayStation brand itself is doing extremely well. Sony, not so much.
No.
So I guess in summation, like final comment, do you think the gaming industry is going to lose at some point? I mean, do you think we're losing? Do you think we as the consumers are losing? If the decisions at the top are not being made, you know? Sometimes I feel like we're losing.
You're losing if you're on console. Make another easy one. I don't think we're losing as much because obviously, like when they set these things to like they have to sell X million amount of copies, they're also putting in a lot of time and effort to make them. So I don't think we're losing as much, to be honest. As consumers.
How about you, Fernando?
We're never losing. We're never losing simply because we don't let things happen to a certain point. The Xbox One was going to be a catastrophe. It was going to be a complete debacle. Because gamers spoke up and they said, we're not paying for that shit. They changed their tune completely, and Phil Spencer is now in charge of the Xbox brand. We're never losing because we never let it get to a point where it's just beyond ridiculous. We respond. Yes, we respond. And a lot of times publishers get on their stupid shit, I would call it, right? But that doesn't last for very long. They either do it with good intentions, as a, you know, they're just trying to survive, and stuff like that. Look, for example, Street Fighter. Capcom's not in the great shape, right? Street Fighter is severely lacking in content. Street Fighter 5, right?
That is not becoming of a AAA.
Right, exactly. That is not something you expect from a Sony exclusive, right? Because it's on PC. But they and they're not getting away with it because they're not hitting what they expected to do. So they're not necessarily getting away with it. You can't just make these practices where you say, all right, we're going to release the game at $60 right now, but you get the full game like by June. Bullshit, you know? We can accept extra content, but to have, you know, a severe lack of content, people are going to speak out about that. I don't care how many fanboys you have.
Yeah.
The Division, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, well, I thought I paid for like the whole game, and then you were gonna add extras in. Not, you know, I paid to get to level 30, and then now I have to pay to actually play like the end game content.
Level 30, and you're playing at 30 frames. So good
Yeah.
job.
I guess here's to the game that never ends. Then.
Right.